everyone. Before we start our video today, I'd like to start with a trigger warning, just to let you know that this is going to be a story about some domestic violence. If that's something that you prefer not to hear about, just join us next week for our next video.
Welcome back to the channel. This is not going to be one of our videos where we're doing a lot of laughing or smiling. It's actually a very, very sad video. About a week ago, I was outside. Cindy was leaving for work. And every day, when she's going to work, I go outside, I help her take out her stuff, and I light a cigarette. I wave to her as she's leaving, and I usually turn around and lean on the back of one of our chairs and just kind of stare out at the mountains. I did exactly that on this day. And as I was standing there smoking my cigarette and staring out at the mountains, I heard kind of a blood-curdling scream. And I witnessed, and I'm going to show you the actual RV that we were talking about. The woman who lived there dived out of their emergency window. Now you can see how far that is from the ground. It's probably about 8 feet. And when she hit the ground, she got up immediately and started screaming, "Help me, he's going to kill me." She ran right at me, 15 in the morning. I was almost literally the only person out at that time. I saw her boyfriend coming behind her. I don't know how he got out of the rig, if he came out through the window or came running out through the door. It's kind of irrelevant. He was running behind her. I yelled, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa," and put myself between her and him. I waved my hand behind me and went, "Go," to her. She did. He said, "Listen, man, everything's all right. She's hallucinating. She's been using Ambien and alcohol." Before I could say anything back to that, which would have been, "All right, well, go back to your rig and we'll just get this straightened out," he ran around me. This guy is in his 30s. I am clearly not. And short of tackling him, which I haven't had a fight in probably 40 years, he got past me, continued to chase.
People that are, she claims that her husband is trying to kill her.
She, and I give her a lot of credit, she had the presence of mind to run to the guy next door to me, whose name is Rusty. She banged on his door and screamed again, "Help, he's going to kill me." Rusty opened the door. He was there with his girlfriend, Tara, and let her in and told this guy, whose name I was given once when they were out walking their dog. I do not remember his name. He told this guy, "Go back to your rig, we'll get this straightened out," which is what I originally was going to say. He did not go back to his rig. He came around to me. At that point, I was already on the phone with 911, and they were asking a bunch of questions. And he came around, and I looked at him and went, "Hey, I'm on the phone with the police. You want to talk to him?" He said yes, and he took my phone and started talking to him. At which point he started to walk away with my phone. And I wasn't having that, so I told him, "Get back here, that's my phone." At this point, Rusty had come around also. And the young lady, whose name I'm not going to say, I do know it, but we'll just leave her name out of this, was in his RV with his girlfriend Tara. This guy came back with my phone, handed it back to me, and I got back on with 911, and they said that they were sending people out. He went back into his rig. Well, it was about maybe 15 minutes later, 2 Pueblo County Sheriff's Department cars showed up, one of which was a supervisor, and the other one had, I believe, 2 police officers in it, sheriffs, deputies, and they started to take control of the scene. They went in to Rusty's rig and spoke to her. She told them that there were weapons inside their RV. That triggered 6 more police cars showing up. Pueblo police and Pueblo County sheriffs. In all, we probably had between 10 and 12 police officers. I'm showing you some of the footage. This all came from my Blink cameras, which hadn't deactivated for the day yet. This was pretty early in the morning. It wasn't until, and now I told you this all started at like 6:15. It wasn't until 9:30 that this scene started to get wrapped up. They were very hesitant to go into the RV, which I don't blame them. If he had a gun or something in there, who knows how that would have ended. He did end up coming out and told them that he had been in the shower, which is why he hadn't answered the door earlier. They put him in handcuffs, put him in the car, and took him away. The young lady was taken in an ambulance to the hospital where my wife works. And what her story was is that he had spent the entire night, overnight, beating her. At one point taking a micro razor, is that what they call it?
Yeah, I guess.
And cutting up her arm, which she showed to Rusty and Tara, and to the police, obviously. Had bounced her head off several different objects, and one of the things that she said was that she had tried twice to clean the bathroom floor to his liking, and he didn't like it, so he would beat on her. And that he had gone for a knife, and when he went for the knife, she saw her opportunity and dove out of that window. This was almost like something out of a TV show. I mean, to wake up to that, essentially, of somebody, a young lady, I believe she's 34 years old, screaming, "Help, he's going to kill me." I mean, people, be better. Now, Cindy was able to see some very limited information.
As a medical professional at the hospital, I can only go into a chart of a patient that I am personally working with. Just so you know, when they say your information is protected, it is protected in many, many, many ways in the hospital. I can see a list of patients that are in the emergency room. It's just a board, they call it the ER board. And you can see it's just a screen with list of names, ages, their chief complaint, how long they've been there. It's basically not a whole lot of information. I cannot go in anybody's chart unless I am their nurse, or I'm doing some kind of care. Like if I was working with another nurse with a patient, I could go into her patient's chart to chart something if I was there. But I have to be directly providing care to that person to open their chart. And it is protected to the point that if I were to open the chart of someone in the emergency room that I wasn't taking care of, it, I suppose, sounds some sort of flag to the IT department. They know if you go into someone else's chart. I'm sure they do audits all the time, but they can tell click by click where you've been in the computer system. So, and that's big trouble if I were to open somebody else's chart. This is just a little side trail to tell you that your information is very protected at the hospital and everywhere else. But I wasn't able and did not to open up her chart or anything, but I could kind of by process of elimination figure out who it was. And they did, there's also a status that they could put on a chart that flags it as a red, with a red label on it that says confidential, meaning that nobody can give that name out. If he were to call the hospital, they could not tell him whether she's there or not. If she's there, they couldn't even confirm that she was in the building because that's a confidential thing. That usually applies to people who are either have been incarcerated and have been brought from the prison, or if it's a situation where someone's has had some kind of assault, been in any kind of criminal situation. If they're in the emergency room, you cannot give their name out. And of course we couldn't give it out because we're not working with it. But basically the only thing I could see was assault victim and how long she'd been there. Last time I looked before I left that night, she had been there 9.5 hours. And that's not unusual for ERs if you haven't been to one lately. If you go to one, prepare to stay unless you're bleeding out or having a heart attack. you're going to stay there for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours.
And apparently she needed to get x-rays.
Well, because of her head injury, they probably did a CT. I'm sure they did x-rays, urine, blood, all the basic things.
Now, a couple of other things here. Apparently, and this is her side of the story that I'm telling, he had been taking handfuls of pills the entire night. And he had just returned the previous day from rehab. However, he only stayed 2 weeks out of the month that he was supposed to be there.
Which tells you there's just a lot of factors going on here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, as we were talking that evening, I said, you know, we're hearing his side, her side. You know, we have no way of knowing what's the truth. But apparently she had enough injuries that the police sent her to the hospital.
Right. And they left behind a dog in their RV, which Rusty and I took care of that day. And then the following day, when we went over to take care of it again, the RV was locked. So it would appear she returned and took the dog and locked the RV up. But she's not staying here. I don't even know why we're telling you this story, honestly. Other than to say, just be better. For God's sake.
And be aware of your surroundings when you're outside your RV. Be aware of the people around you. Felix, more so than I, because he walks the dog a lot, he gets to know people a little bit better than I do, at least by face and name and which RV they stay in and that kind of thing. And that's a good thing to know. It's a good thing, good safety measure when you're in an RV park to kind of pay attention to not Mrs. Kravitz out the window or anything, but just to pay attention to people's habits, and like you would in a neighborhood. Most people, if they live in a neighborhood, they know that Miss Brown gets up and waters her garden before the sun gets up very much, and you know what your neighbors normally do. So if there's something out of the ordinary, you know it will put you on alert, and especially knowing that, according to her, there were weapons in the RV. You want to be aware of those kind of things. If you find it out, you want to be more aware and more cautious around those people. Of course, we don't know what his disposition is, whether he's still in jail or what that situation is.
I mean, and we have no closure here. I mean, I have no idea. Rusty has no idea what's going on right now. Do we have to think about, is this guy going to come back and get violent with us because we're the ones that turned him in? I guess the bottom line here is just be better. Until next week, I'm Felix.
I'm Cindy.
We are the Roaming Gomes, and be better.